Alexis Moyer, and welcome to my studio and gallery, The Pot Shop. I get asked a lot about how my animals are made, and so I thought I would share with you a series of photographs showing how I made a sculpture of a pelican who came to be known as Jimmy. Jimmy was commissioned as a gift for someone who had a very special memory about a pelican. And so a lot of my animals are commission pieces because people want to have a little special memory of their pet or of some kind of animal that's special to them. So in this case, we went with the pelican. Now, when it's something like a pelican and I don't really know much about that animal, I go on the internet and I look at pictures that have show me the anatomy of the pelican, they show me the colors, they show me the posture of the bird so that I can start to see how that pelican really works and try and figure out a good pose for me to use that'll give me a joyful, playful kind of pelican that'll be in my style of working. So once I know what I'm making, I'm ready to get to work. So in this case, I decided that Jimmy should be sitting on a stump, like a pier, a post at the end of a dock. And so I textured a slab and built it in a circle and made a stump for him to sit on. So I set that aside to dry, and then I started on the bird itself. So when I make my animals, they always begin with wherever they meet the tabletop. So in this case, it's the belly. Jimmy's belly would be what would be hitting the table first. So I started there and I started coiling up and around. And as I built, I put in different pieces of foam and things to support the clay as I went until I was able to close the whole thing in and I had a nice bird body. So once I had the bird body, I went ahead and I mounted it onto the stump and added the little legs so that now he's got his little posture going and got his tail all set. And then I was ready to start adding the wings. So I cut some holes where the wings were to go because I always try and keep my clay as light as I can make it because we're always trying to avoid thickness so that it doesn't blow up. So in this case, I was putting feathers over the top of that area anyway. I cut away the clay underneath so that I had a little bit less weight there. So feather by feather, I built the wings and I built the tail and feathered up the body. So then the body is all pretty much done. And then I started up the neck. And so again, it was coiling up the neck. So I could only do about 3 inches a day because the clay itself needs to firm up because it's not very strong when it's wet. And as it dries, it gets stiffer and stronger and it can hold the weight that's going to be coming on top of it. So the trick always with doing that is to keep the part where I still want to work wet enough so that I can add onto it, but let the part below it dry and stiffen enough to support the added weight. So as I said, we went up the neck and eventually came around and built the head. And then once the head was done, it was time to add on the bill. Now the bill is a pretty big piece for this pelican. Usually we're not adding on things that are quite that large. It's more like ears. So I had to really support that bill and make sure that it could hold the weight until the head and the bill attached to each other and dried and got good and solid. So once the bill was on, then it was time to add the eyes and the feathers on the head and the little things that animate that face and make him into the little pelican with this little sassy attitude that I wanted him to have. So once he was all finished, I let him dry for a couple of weeks, and then it was time for him to go in the kiln. So we cross our fingers, and we put him in the kiln, we fire him nice and slowly so that he doesn't explode, and then out he comes as a piece of bisque. So it's time to glaze it. So unlike paints, glazes can't just be mixed to order with the colors. You have to work with the colors you have, and they can be combined a little bit, but you have to test first to make sure what you're going to get. So once I've established my color palette, then I'm ready to glaze. So just like with building the bird, the big parts get done first. So the body got glazed first, and then the bill, and then all the little details that again give him his character and his personality. So once he's all glazed, he goes back into the kiln again for the glaze firing. And then the next day, after the kiln's cool, we have the big unveiling, we open it up, and ta-da, we have Jimmy. So all that's left now is for a little time for a photo shoot with me, and then he's ready to go to his new home. So that's it, start to finish, how one of my pieces is made. I hope you enjoyed watching, and if you have any comments or questions, I'd love to hear from you, so feel free to send me an email. Thank you, bye.